Hey, just got back from church and I wanted to talk about something that came up today in church. Um, for some reason, whenever I bring this up, it tends to cause a lot of controversial questions or debate, and I struggle with the problem in my mind. I know why other people see it differently, but I wanted to make sure that at least my views on it are clear. So the situation came up when I described how parenting is not about making your child happy, and the primary responsibility for a parent is to help their child make good decisions, regardless of whether or not they're happy. And immediately people respond with, "Well, if they're being taught how to be good people and if they're living righteously, then they will be happy." And I thought is okay, maybe, but that's beside the point. And there's lots of ways to go about talking about it, but in this particular case, I said, would you rather have a sad, righteous child or a happy, unrighteous child? And I said, well, I would rather have a happy, righteous child, and that's what it would be, because if your child is righteous, then they're going to be happy. And I just don't understand how people could, get confused by this, because if you've ever been a teenager, it's pretty obvious that you can be forced to be righteous and you can still be unhappy. And you can go a long time like that. You can go many years doing everything you're supposed to and being righteous and still being very unhappy and being a sad person. So you're not required to be happy just because you're living the commandments. Now, if you're talking about an eternal perspective kind of a thing, fine. Okay, if you're living righteously, then in the eternal perspective, in the final end of things, you will be happy. Yeah, congratulations. But that's not the point. The point is that as a parent, you help your kids make right decisions. And if that makes them unhappy, you continue to help them make right decisions. It's not help them make right decisions unless they're unhappy and then it just kind of all falls apart. No. And this is where a lot of parents struggle, because one of the examples that came up was this mother had their daughter going to be married in the temple. And on their way out of the temple, the daughter changes into her wedding dress, which was immodest. And so she had to take off her garments so that they weren't showing when she walked out in her wedding dress. And how, as an example, this is not a parent that is teaching the child to be good. This is a parent teaching the child to be happy, because they're going to be happier in the dress. Now, supposedly they would have been unhappy in a modest dress, even though they were doing the right thing. So what do you do as a parent? Do you make sure that your child is happy because she's wearing the dress she wants to wear, or do you make sure your child is good because she's wearing her garments and being an example of righteous living? So again, I understand how people can get confused by this. I understand how it's hard to make the right decision when it's being a parent, but that's why parenting is parenting. That's why it's hard, is because you're helping your kids make the right decision, even if it makes them unhappy because they don't get to wear the dress they want to wear. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear, at least from the way that I see it. So, if you want to continue with the argument about how living righteously will make you a happy person, fine. But don't be surprised when you're forcing your teenager to do the right things and they're still unhappy, because that's pretty much every single teenager. But you're right in the sense that if you continue to help them be a good person, continue to help them make good decisions and keep the commandments, in the end, maybe months, years, decades later, they'll be a happier person. That's true. That's true. But just because you're living righteously and keeping the commandments does not guarantee that you'll be a happy person.